It is necessary to have the belief that every person can be a speeder. The motto of piety is not to despise people, not to judge people by their actions, not to split people's hearts and pass judgment on people. It is the motto of sincere piety.
Hello everyone from Istanbul School. Dear viewers, today we will talk about sincerity in religion. Our guest is Prof. Dr. Ali Bardakoğlu. Welcome, teacher.
You're welcome, sir.
How are you?
Thank you. I wish you good publications.
Thank you very much. Sir, we say that religion is sincerity, but what kind of sincerity is this? What does sincere religiosity mean? We want to talk about these. Say what?
With pleasure, sir. Let's start with a hadith of the Prophet. This is a very well-known hadith. Etinin nasya. Religion is sincerity. To whom? Towards Allah, the Prophet, and all Muslims. It is a very true hadith. And the essence of piety is to have a sincere relationship with Allah. Pretense is the opposite of sincerity. And ostentation is something that eats away at piety, that makes piety empty, that makes piety meaningless. Because we are not religious so that people can call us religious. We have to be sincere in order to be valuable in the sight of Allah, in order to be able to reciprocate the value that Allah gives us. Because we have two duties towards Allah. Fatma Hanim. One is to believe, to know Allah, to live in this world by recognizing His power and sovereignty. The second is to be thankful and grateful to Him. In other words, O Lord, You have given us so many blessings. You have sent us to this worldly life. Nothing was in our hands or power, but You have blessed them. You have given us all of the countless blessings, from oxygen to air to water. It is being able to say, we thank You, You are the one who created us. This is a sincere relationship. In fact, gratitude, praise, and worship are things that support this sincerity. The most valuable worship is the worship that is sincere to Allah. For example, let's remember a hadith. If someone breaks a fast, upsets another, treats him unfairly, and does these wrong things, only hunger remains. Let's think about prayer. The prayer you perform prevents you from all kinds of evil. How does prayer prevent a person from evil? Because by performing prayer, a person establishes that sincere relationship with Allah, and faith and worship also give us sincerity to be a friendly, honest person outside of prayer. We are also honest with people, and not for people to see, like, or say. If we can do it, it is valuable in the sight of Allah. For this reason, the Holy Quran often talks about sincere piety, opening our hearts to God, that God is closer to us than our jugular vein, and that God sees and knows everything we do. Our Prophet says the morality of benevolence, we have talked about it before. Isani halaki means having the awareness that Allah sees, knows, watches, protects, and watches over us at all times. It means saying that even if we don't see it, it always sees us. Is it possible for such a person to be hypocritical and act religiously just for show? Of course, if he believes in something, he will do it. And that is what is valuable in the sight of Allah. The first hadith in Bukhari is Innamal amalu bil niyawi. Actions are according to intentions. First, our intentions must be good, our intentions must be sincere, and then that intention must be reflected in our behavior.
So how can we show this sincerity? You know we won't show off, but we are sincere, just feeling genuine sincerity.
So now, of course, it is about our inner world. First of all, it means being able to do it by believing, trusting, and coming from within, away from all kinds of ostentation and anxiety. This is the essence of piety. Religiousness means being essentially good. Otherwise, for example, morality, constantly talking about morality, talking about charity, talking about moral virtues does not make you moral. Morality is meant to be lived. It is not the person who speaks these things, but the person who does them that is moral. I said before, religion does not give us knowledge, it gives us consciousness. We do not learn moral virtues from religion. We do not learn from religion that justice is valuable, that cooperation is necessary, and that being merciful is a good thing, Miss Fatma. But religious people do these by feeling them. Religious people gain awareness of these. He knows that doing these things is a human duty and a duty to God. In other words, from this perspective, sincerity is a great disaster that refutes the essence of religion and religiosity. And hypocrisy is a disastrous expression that refutes a religiosity that is far from religiosity.
So, are there risks to sincere religiosity? How do we see this?
Now, of course, sincere religiosity, that's right, even though it is the essence of religiosity, it also has certain risks. How? If sincere religiosity is not supported by the authentic knowledge of the Quran and the Sunnah, but we leave it to people's subjective opinion, that is, if we leave our heart pure, then gradually sincere religiosity can become dangerous, darkening a person's path. Sincere religiosity begins to be based on your subjective opinion, despite the clear provisions of religion. If you decide your own religiosity and produce your own fatwa, you will begin to ignore many of your mistakes. Sincere religiosity and sincere religiosity can sometimes lead to dominating the other, condemning the other, marginalizing the other, and judging the other. So why does one person judge another's religiosity? Sometimes to provide legitimacy for himself, sometimes out of arrogance. A person who enjoys saying, I will be in the best places in heaven and he will burn in hell, is not a sincere religious person. So, in that respect, the most serious risk of sincere religiosity is that we can legitimize many mistakes to ourselves with the fatwas we produce, our own subjective opinions, by saying that I am sincere and God knows my heart. In this regard, sincere religiosity must be supported by the clear knowledge of the Quran, the Sunnah, and the religion, and must be formed within that framework. Otherwise, if sincere piety alone was sufficient, there would be no need for that, Quran and Sunnah. Everyone would say they are sincere and do what they know. In other words, sincerity here means sincerity in accordance with the clear knowledge of the Quran and the Sunnah, and following the straight path shown by Allah. Otherwise, the person who says, my heart is pure, I heard this from such and such a teacher, what's the point in this? It could be that they open their own path by saying, I am sincere, God knows my heart. Or that sincere religious people can make mistakes, condemn others, belittle others, throw others off the path of the straight path, and put them into hell out of sincere religiosity. That's why uncontrolled, sincere religiosity leads to a very bad habit and perception that hurts and damages the religious profile today.
He's kind of abusing it.
In other words, is it appropriate for us to impose certain styles and patterns on people while claiming to be sincerely religious, to intervene in people's free lives and behaviors while claiming to be sincerely religious, to judge people, to make judgments in the name of God, to marginalize people by claiming to be sincerely religious? So that's something that won't happen. And sometimes sincere religiosity can be misleading, and people may unknowingly continue many of their mistakes under the guise of sincere religiosity. So in that respect, I'm underlining it. Sincerity is very important in religiosity. Without sincerity, the essence of religiosity is lost. But this sincere religiosity must be in line with the Quran, the Sunnah, and the main principles of religion. Otherwise, if you determine the criteria of sincere religiosity, if you become a prosecutor, a judge, a lawyer, a decision maker, and a mufti, you will not be able to get out of it, and your sincerity will become a danger to you.
As long as it does not coincide with the basic principles of the religion, sincere religiosity can turn into a situation of creating one's own religion with its own idea and interpretation.
Sincere religiosity can sometimes lead people to make judgments in the name of Allah, to interfere with people in the name of Allah, to make judgments in the name of Allah.
Very dangerous, very dangerous.
However, Allah said what He would say in the Quran. It is not right for any of us to judge in the name of Allah or make judgments in the name of Allah. The owner of religion is Allah, the Shari'an. The explainer and propagator of religion is He is the Prophet, Muhammad alayhi salam. Now it is up to people to understand these, to think about them, to ponder on them, and to do what they say. Otherwise, sincere religiosity does not justify interfering in each other's religious lives and constantly alienating each other, excluding each other from the Sunni, excluding each other from religion, etc. Look, today, Miss Fatma, if you pay attention, Al-Sunnah is a large community. It refers to the people of Qibla. In other words, it is a big umbrella that gathers all Muslims. But in the name of sincere religiosity, people accuse each other of being unbelievers. People accuse each other of being outside the Sunni. People accuse each other of atheism. They accuse Allah of not knowing the Prophet. What was it? A person can make different comments, different interpretations. He may think differently. They are their biggest support here. But I am sincerely religious. I am better religious. I'm more religious. God knows who He is. Allah says that the most valuable of you in the sight of Allah is the one who has the most respect, love, and shyness towards me in His inner world. So who is like this? Do we know people who are created by the heart? No, we don't know anyone. In this regard, it is necessary not to be arrogant, not to be assertive, and to have the opinion that every person can be hizir, not despising people, not judging people by their actions, not splitting people's hearts and passing judgment on people is the motto of piety, the motto of sincere piety. Nowadays, look, throughout history, Miss Fatma, many Mahdis have come. Throughout history, many apologists came, those who made judgments in the name of religion and those who led people to wrong paths. So were they all frauds? No. These are many people who claim to be Mahdi. It can also be sincere. Today, there are many groups that produce violence and terrorism in the name of Islam. Are the people in them insincere? Can we say that they are all frauds, sellouts, pawns, and agents? Very difficult. There are many people among them who think they are sincere. This means that sincerity alone is not enough. Sincerity alone poses a serious risk. I say this sincerity again. The clear provisions of the Quran, the clear path of the Prophet, Sunnah and Islam exist to be within the broad circle of Islam and to repair the inner world of man. So, sincere religiosity is necessary for me to repair myself. Otherwise, it's not for me to judge you, not for me to alienate you. I cannot treat people arrogantly, relying on their sincere religiosity. I cannot throw you into the fire, relying on my sincere piety. If I am sincerely religious, I do not constantly repair myself or review my mistakes. I must do what I do in the best way possible towards God and in the best way possible towards people. This is what is described in the Hadith. It is sincerity towards Allah, towards the Prophet and towards Muslims. In other words, you will not hypocrite, you will not try to deceive Allah about the Prophet, you will not try to deceive Muslims, you will behave as you are, you will appear as you are, you will be as you appear, it will be outside as it is inside. If you sin, you are sinning, it is Allah who will forgive.
Well, sir, I would like to draw attention to a distinction here. Some of the groups you mentioned are doing dangerous things, doing wrong things, thinking they are doing it in the name of religion. There are many people we have seen in history and still do today. Among them, as you said, there are people who are spies and act consciously. There are people who act out of sincere religiosity, even without knowing it, thinking they are doing it in the name of God and thinking they are on the right path. When we look at these in the eyes of God's justice, how should we see them?
Now, of course, people's intentions and inner worlds are important in the sight of Allah. However, it is not right in the sight of Allah for people to act without knowledge. So in that respect, the Holy Quran does not just say to be sincere. He says, don't pursue what you don't know. He says, be knowledgeable. He says, read the Quran. He says, follow the Prophet. So he says, don't follow the wrong. In other words, people's intentions and sincerity alone are not enough. I've stated it before, sincerity alone is not enough. That sincerity must be nourished by the clear provisions of the Quran, the Sunnah, the religion of Islam, and remain within its framework. Otherwise, sincere religiosity may lead to chaos in the Islamic world and among Muslims. Let me say it again. In other words, everyone can make many mistakes and make life miserable for us, claiming that they are sincere. That is, he said that he saw God in his dream, that the Prophet gave him a task, etc. There may be many people who think like this. And we can assume that they are sincere. That's how he perceives. That's how he thinks. In other words, they have psychological states. Of course, we cannot say that this person is sincere and follow him. Because so far, look, Muslims have been through many hardships. Who has survived? There have been many people in the Islamic world who have taken them to the wrong paths by saying that they are sincere in their religion. However, religion belongs to Allah. Mukhlisina lahu l-diwina, the Holy Quran often says this. Leave religion to Allah. You try to walk with sincere steps on the path shown by Allah. But where? On the path shown by Allah, on the path of the Quran, on the path of the Sunnah, on the path of the clear rulings of religion, the halal, the haram, so that you don't say you are sincere and make judgments in the name of Allah. Don't take ownership of religion. Don't judge in the name of Allah. Don't judge people. Look, there is a hadith, if you want, we can finish it. This reinforces the first hadith. Ina w hadat dina yusran. This religion, the religion of Islam, is a religion of ease. Whoever continues, whoever tries to wrestle in this religion, the religion will prevail over him. Therefore, give good news. Do not make people hate. Do not scare them. Make it easy. Do not make it difficult. The continuation of the hadith. So, sincere piety can sometimes push Islam to a steep slope, make it difficult. Why do we increase the forbidden? We increase it because of sincere religious people. The more we increase the forbidden, the more good deeds he does. He thinks that the more he says forbidden, the better religious he will be. That's why he doesn't like Abu Hanifa. He doesn't like Shafi. He doesn't like the Mufti. He doesn't like the Directorate of Religious Affairs. He doesn't like this one. He doesn't like that one. He says their religion is lax. They are not sincere, etc. He makes judgments. So he is slowly bringing himself to a different position. It puts you in a different status. And its only assurance is sincerity. That's why it's just subjective. The idea of sincerity involves risks if there is no knowledge. And instead of bringing peace to the Islamic world, it can bring chaos and turmoil.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your valuable comments. Dear viewers, this week we talked about sincere religiosity. See you in the next episode. Goodbye.